we've talked about how important those have been to you, but how much fun have you had? And just give me one quick story on that, if you don't mind.
I want to say the most fun I've ever had playing football was probably my senior year in high school. We ended up winning a District 1 championship, and we went to the state semifinals and lost. But at that time, I had really kind of connected again with the fun of the game and why I love to do it. Kind of like what I'm going through right now in this new AAF league. I'm reconnecting with the fun of the game. You know, when you play in the NFL, the politics and stuff like that, it kind of get in the way. It can really suck the fun out of the game, and then you lose sight of why you play it. But in high school, man, I remember every time I touched the field, it just doesn't get any better than that. And then it reminds you of that time when you were little. You know, me and my friends, when it used to snow outside in Philadelphia, it would snow maybe, 12 inches. And we would go to the park, and we would take our feet, and we would draw the lines of a football field in the snow throughout this whole park. And then we would have a football, and we would play Rumble Fumble. And I'm talking, this is just me and like maybe 3 or 4 of my friends. We would throw the ball in the air. Whoever caught it had to run to the nearest end zone and then had to run to the next end zone without getting tackled. Then if you got tackled, you had to throw the ball up.
Yeah.
You know, somebody has to get the ball. And we would play this game for hours.
Yeah.
And I'm talking about this is when, like, football is just like, you know, there's no stress. There's no pressure. We're just out here having fun in the snow. That stuck with me my whole life. I remember doing it with my friend's name was Thomas Darnell and Aaron Benson. And we would literally just go to the park, just the 3 of us, and just draw the lines and just play Rumble Fumble for hours until our hands are frozen.
Steven, that is a great story. And while none of us in my friend group ever made it to the NFL, I know there are thousands and tens of thousands and millions of kids that grew up playing the same way in the snow, and really appreciate you sharing that experience. I want to get into your book, A Walk in Our Cleats, which is just an amazing book. But before I do, can you tell me about the AAF, just the AAF experience, right? I'm a football fan. Mm-hmm. You're on the Arizona Hotshots. Can you just compare the Arizona Hotshots, the AAF, compare that a little bit to college and NFL? I know you've done it a little bit, but more importantly, what are your goals for this year with the Hotshots and with the AAF?
My goals this year, man, to be honest, is I want to be the defensive MVP of this whole league. I want to lead this whole league in tackles. Hopefully I want to compete within the interception category, forced fumbles and fumble recoveries and sacks. Like for me, sitting out this whole entire football season was super hard for me, especially the first 7 through 8 weeks. I became the person. You know, I was finishing the book and was, you know, getting published and stuff like that and getting out there. But internally, I was hurting because I wasn't playing the sport that I love to play. And I got, you know, super down on myself. And I just didn't believe that was it. I was like, God, you know, I was like, wait a minute, you know, you've always brought me through. You know what I mean? You've always got me where I needed to go. And why does this feel like it's the end, right? And all of a sudden, this AAF league comes out of nowhere, just like out of the blue.
Yeah.
And I was like, wait, what is this league? And at first, I didn't even want to play in it. But then I was like, you know what? It dawned on me at 3 o'clock in the morning. And I texted one of my friends. I was like, hey, Raheem, you know, we need to go out here and we could be like Ray Lewis and Ed Reed together. Raheem Moore is one of my friends who I play with in Denver. And we're actually on the same team right now.
Okay.
So, so we're on the same team playing defense together. And he's been out of the league for 3 years. I've been out of the league for 1 year, but we're both trying to get back. And the great thing about this league is it's super organized, it's super professional, and it's kind of blowing me away. But at the same time, you get the feel of college, but you get the NFL talent, professionalism.
That's awesome.
Right? So you get the feel of there's no pressure. You know what I mean? You go out there, you do your job, you have fun. You're not looking over your shoulder. You know what I mean? But at the same time, there's a lot of good talent out here. And there's a lot. I could just walk around. I walk around the streets of San Antonio right now and see guys who I've played with in the NFL or have played against in the NFL. And I'm just like, wow, this is amazing.
That is amazing.
You know what I mean? So this league, man, I really – I guess it would be so selfish for me to say, but I'm just like, man, I feel like this league was put here for me, honestly, because there were times where I felt like it was just over and done with. And this league just came out of nowhere, like just fell out of the sky, like a blessing,
Well, that's what,
opportunity to get back.
hey, God does that, right? He puts things in our path that we're supposed to follow, and you got an open heart to that, and I'm glad you're going to do it. So your second interview with us will be after your Defensive MVP award. That'll be good to have you on then, too.
Yeah, definitely. I'll do that, and then I'll be on my way back to the NFL. And, man, hopefully, in the next couple of years, I could be that guy to, when people ask about the AAF, I could be that guy to be like, look, I did it, and now I'm a Pro Bowler in the NFL, and that's what, like I said earlier, like I really feel like, I'm in the intermission of my career. And my family members say that sometimes, too. They're like, I feel like you never really got a shot. I feel like your career is just getting started. And by being here and practicing in the AAF with these guys, I'm just like, why do I feel like I'm in college again? My body feels great. I'm moving good. Body feels fresh. Everything is like being rejuvenated. Like my battery's getting charged again. So I just thank God for that, man. And I'm super blessed for this opportunity, honestly.
Well, you have a big fan here of the Arizona Hotshots, and when you guys start on February 9th, we will be sure to tune in and watch you dominate those offenses, my man. It's gonna be a good thing.
Yes,
so
sir.
Looking forward to that. Hey, I got to jump into your book,
sir.
man. A Walk in Our Cleats. This is 25 stories of yourself, your fellow football players and friends, I'm sure. It is impressive to me because there are Hall of Famers in this book. There are role players in this book. These stories are just amazing here. So let me just ask you this. How did you choose the athletes to be included, and kind of what is the process of getting this book started?
So I've always, wanted to do a book like this, because I wanted to do something that was a little bit different that had never been done. Now, people have tried to attempt this book, but the book wasn't cool enough. It wasn't really telling, the stories about who they are as people. It may have just had told the stories of who they were on the football field. So when choosing the guys I wanted to have in this book, these are all guys I've played with. So 9 times out of 10, they have been my teammates, or I have just trained with them or ran into them just like randomly. God put them on my path. I literally just kind of see how they walked and lived their everyday life. And, they all love God and they all want to do things the right way. So I just walked up to them and asked them. And they were like, yeah, I would love to do it. And so what I did was my co-author, his name is Paul Cartwright. He's based in Toronto. He sent me an email a long time ago and just asked me if I would be interested in doing a book like that. And I was like, that's funny because I was actually thinking about doing it. And I was like, so how do we do it? And he was like, well, I'll do the interviews. I'll write the stories, and then I'll send them to you, and then you can, edit them and do whatever I want to do to them. And then I was like, okay, so that's what we did. So he did all of the interviews, including my interview, wrote all the original stories, and then he would send them to me. And then I would go into the stories, and I would technically rewrite the stories or publish the stories and add in little things that I knew about the person personally, or, and then I would talk to that person like, hey, like, I said this. Do you like this, or do you want to change it to this? And he'd be like, okay, change it or leave it. And then from there, I actually had a distant cousin who is really good friends with an author, and that author knew the HarperCollins Zondervan publishing company. And they got me in contact with them, and they said, we'd be honored to publish your book, and the rest was history.
Well, and I'll tell you what, that process makes the book make sense to me. What I mean by that is that process comes through, because these stories, they're not just like an interview. Like you said, they're not just the Toronto-based author just interviewing somebody and putting it on paper. There is a lot of personal touches. Right. There is a lot of follow-up. You can see that, man. I'll tell you what, let's take a break here. We'll be back with Steven Johnson, an author of A Walk in Our Cleats, a great book, a great read, and as you're going to hear a lot more things going on with this young man. We will be right back. You are listening to Cinder Block. Welcome back to Cinder Block Sports. I'm your host, Jon O'Donnell. We are joined by Steven Johnson, an author of A Walk in Our Cleats, and we just started talking about the book before the break. And now, Steven, I want to ask you what your favorite story in the book is. And I'm sure they're all your favorites. I mean, they're all your buddies, so I don't want you to get yourself in trouble. But hey, give me a couple of stories or a couple of guys in the book that really stood out to you, or if there's one in particular that really stands out to you, who would you pick?
To be honest, I want to say one of my favorite stories in the book, and probably because he's one of my good friends in real life, Shamarko Thomas. His story is really heartfelt because he lost both of his parents in like the matter of a month, and he became like the father of his household, and he's made it. He made it to the NFL, and I know how hard he works. I know how good he wants to be in the NFL. So his story definitely hit home with me. Manny Ramirez, his story almost hit home with me because he almost had a near-death experience. To be honest, I want to say Ben Roethlisberger, even with, some of the drama he's been through in his whole career, but, he's still standing strong and trusting in God for everything. Even when I read my story, sometimes I get a little choked up, but I just like, man, I left out so much. Yeah. I'm like, you know what? That's going to be from my next book.
Well, I was going to say, you have to do a second book in your next 6 years in the NFL, man. That's your next book, right?
Oh yeah, so, I definitely will do a part 2. Yes.
I think I put you on the spot there to pick a favorite because I think you could go through each one of them and find something really special. And people should. They should get out there and should buy this book. And for me, I could see this hitting 2 homes. I think any parent, right, that has a kid in sports needs to buy this book and show what these exceptional athletes, what you, yourself, and all your friends have gone through in the face of adversity, and how turning to God has kept them on the path and made them the athletes they are.
Steven, exactly what message are you trying to send with this book, and who should read it?
I'm trying to speak to that kid who's anywhere from 13 to 21 years old, and he has a dream of, or he or she has a dream of being somebody outside of their immediate community. Wants their name to be known, whether it's through athletics or academics or whatever. But the odds always seem to be against them. Even if they are the best athlete in their community or on their team, they're going to experience some sort of trial and tribulation at some time in their life. And they need a solid foundation. But for that kid who is needing a mentor, needs somebody to believe in, and they just don't know, they don't understand, I really feel like this book can introduce Jesus Christ to you in a way that no other book can. You can try and pick up a Bible and read it and, try and understand it, but it's going to be hard. It's going to take a while. You're going to need somebody to teach you things, right? But you can easily pick up this book and say, okay, what does Ben Roethlisberger do? He's successful in the NFL. He has a lot of money. Like, what does he do? What does he believe in? Yeah. What does Steven Johnson believe in? What does Chris Harris Jr. believe in? Like, how are these guys so successful? Yeah. And for me, when I was a little kid, I made that little decision. I didn't say this earlier, but I made a little decision to turn from doing things my own way and doing them God's way. And literally, like I said earlier, I never started my freshman, sophomore, or junior year. I was a freshman and a JV player. But when I turned and did everything God's way and started trusting in him, I was now a starter on varsity and led the whole state of Pennsylvania in tackles and was first team All-State. Like, how does that happen, right? But I just made the smallest decision to turn to God. And for that kid who has a dream and aspiration of making it to the big leagues, you should definitely get this book. Even if it's not, the NFL or the NBA, maybe you just want to get a master's and be a master doctor, specialize in your field, then go do it. Because, God is overall, and everybody has a gift, and you just have to activate it. And when you get this book, it can definitely help you activate it and realize where your help comes from.
One of the things that really impresses me about you is how far you've come in multiple careers. You're an author now. You're a successful football player. I want to talk about your Faith Motivated Foundation in just a second. But the timing of this book, and you mentioned it, you're a young man. Most people wait till the end of their careers. You're in the intermission. What really drove you to write the book now? I know someone asked you to, but you said you've been thinking about it. Like, what was the driving force of writing this book now, getting the message out now, rather than when you might have some more time after you retire?
I don't know why I wanted to do it now. I think it was just my desire to want to impact this world in some way, and I feel like I wasn't doing my job in football. By now I thought I was going to be a Pro Bowl player and people were going to know me, you know what I mean? But, some people know me, and, some people think I'm a very achieved, athlete and done a lot of things, which I have, but deep down, like that competitive drive that I have within me, like it bothers me that I haven't made it to the top of levels yet. But doing this book